One of the most important things in pickleball is making the right decision. And a lot of times that decision has to come between hitting the ball hard and hitting the ball soft. So today we brought out half of the #1 doubles team in the world, Collin Johns, to teach you guys when to counterattack and when to reset so you guys can become pros in making that right decision.
Hi guys, Collin Johns here, and shot selection is a super important part of pickleball, so knowing when to reset versus when to counterattack is a really underrated skill. So I'm sort of known for resetting the ball, but certainly you want to do it in the right situation. The #1 thing you want to look for when you're resetting is the contact point by your opponent. Because if they're about to hit the ball down from a higher contact point, that's a ball that you're more likely to reset than if they're pulling the trigger from a lower contact point, because you can really punish them more easily when they're attacking up. So depending on where they're striking the ball, I'm going to be more or less in that mindset of reset versus counterattack. So one like that, I would do more of a counterattack. Doesn't have to be super fast, but because he's making contact at a lower contact point, I'm going to be more aggressive with my counter rather than if I leave the ball a little bit higher. So this next one, if I pop the ball up, I would be more likely to reset. Because I know I'm starting to lose control of the point, it doesn't make sense for me to take a higher risk shot by hitting an aggressive counter punch. It makes more sense to do something simpler with the paddle and try to reset.
So Collin, quick question. What are you looking at to determine whether the ball is high enough for them to attack and hit a good attack that you need to reset, or low enough where if they attack, it's going to counterattack? What specifically are you looking for?
So I would really gauge it relative to the height of the net. Because this is your obstacle, you really have to hit up if the ball is below the level of the net. Certainly you can bend the ball a little bit with spin, but generally if the ball is below the level of the net, that would be more of a time to counterattack. As soon as it's above the level of the net, you know that they can hit at least straight, if not a little bit down. Very hard to counterattack those balls consistently. So I would say the contact point is very much relative to where this net line is. So if they're catching to the center, naturally the net is a little bit lower over here. We're probably going to want to reset more often from there, versus if the ball is wider, the net is higher over here, it's more of an obstacle, we're probably going to counterattack more often. But of course, depending on where you make contact on your side of the court, that's relevant as well. So another thing to keep in mind, the reset at the kitchen line looks like a more defensive play, but it can also be more of a calculation. So if I'm playing somebody that I know has faster hands than me, I've played against this person enough to know that if we start at 50-50 in a hands battle, he's going to come out on top more often. I don't have to necessarily engage in that battle. Certainly I could redirect the ball, but that can be challenging for other reasons. Another way I can slow down the onslaught is to choose to reset more balls. Because if he's starting at 50-50, so to speak, he's going to come out on top more often. If I take the pace off and I force him to hit the next ball below the level of the net, because I'm hitting a reset, I put the odds now more in my favor. So it's a choice. You always have the choice on the shot selection that you're about to take. You don't have to counterattack. Certainly you have to have the skill and have the confidence to reset, but you can choose to reset versus counterattack. So that's something a lot of people forget about. They want to swing hard no matter what, even if the person in front of them has better hands than them. So don't be proud about it. If you realize that you're not as fast as the person across from you, you can make a better, more informed choice and win more points for your team.